All right. Welcome, everybody, to I think this is now the fifth session of the Rural Electric Cooperative Co-lab. My name is Tom Llewellyn. I'm with Shareable, a working partner of the Rural Power Coalition that is hosting this series. Throughout this kind of 8-week period, we are running through, it's designed really to equip both member owners and supportive organizations to support the modernization and democratization of local co-op utilities. Today, we are fortunate to be joined by Dr. Catherine Robinson, the program director for One Voice, Deborah Opie, the campaign manager for EMCs for Georgia Conservation Voters Education Fund, and Basil Williams, a senior manager of member services for the Roanoke Cooperative. So it's great to have somebody in here from representing a co-op for this series. They're going to be focusing on engaging co-op member owners. And I don't want to take too much time away, so I'll just say that we will have a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you've got questions, please collect them and put them in the chat. I will be pulling those questions from the chat to ask our presenters at the end. And if you have any issues at all during Zoom or have questions about Canvas or anything else, accessing the recordings, you can send a message to myself or Paige Kelly or Aaron Fernando, who are on the support team. Paige and I both have lightning bolts, and maybe Aaron's going to add one to the beginning of his name as well, so it's easy to find. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker. Deborah, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, the slides, and we're going to welcome Basil Williams.
Great. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So today we're going to have a conversation about engaging with our member owners. As you see, we have a range of topics that we will go through, and we're going to provide some good interaction with everyone, and also provide you with some great ideas about engagements to our member owners with our member owners. All right. Next slide, please. All right, building awareness and inspiration. All right, so I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about something that is at the heart of what we do, and that is empowering our member owners. At the cooperative, we believe that when people are informed and engaged, incredible things happen. So today we're going to dive into how we can build awareness, spark the inspiration, and create a real impact together. So let's get started. Right. So why does awareness matter? Um, Members must understand that the stakes and feel a personal connection to the cause of what we're doing. So let's just think about this for a second. Why do people take action? It's not just because they're being told to, it's because they feel something. They understand the issue. They see how it affects them, and they know what's possible. That's what we want to achieve with our member owners. We want to connect with them in a way that makes them say, I care about this and I want to be a part of this. We want to start with engagement, provide community info, and also strengthen partnerships throughout our communities that we serve. And that's going to create that real impact that we all seek. And this allow us to create that personable feel with our member owners and also with our community stakeholders as well. Next slide, please. All right, so we want to make that connection. How do we make that connection? By highlighting our member owners who have successfully, who have been a part of what the cooperative have done, advocated, provide information about energy equity, and also about clean energy initiatives that we have going on in our community and what the co-op is doing. People relate to stories way more than they do facts and figures. If I were to say and just throw out numbers at you, you might remember a few, But if I tell you about how Miss Johnson, a longtime member owner who saw her bill cut in half thanks to cooperative-led programs, that will stick with you. We want to highlight real members, provide information about real journeys and real successes to inspire others to get involved. We have a lot of different programs. One of our main programs that we have at Roanoke is called Upgrade to Save, where we will go in, provide a free energy assessment to a member owner's home who requests an assessment at their house. Once we do the assessment, we will provide suggestions to the member owner that ways that they can better make their home more energy efficient. And a lot of our member owners who do participate in that program will see that reflection of those updated energy efficiencies retrofits on their bill, which will cause them to lower their bill. And this is a tariff-owned bill that allows them to finance maybe a HVAC unit or any type of health and safety repairs that's needed at their home. A lot of our member owners are calling in and requesting that, especially when you have seasons when it's very cold outside, or if it's hot outside in the summer months. So we have member owners that would give us a call and request for us to come out and do an assessment. And once we does that assessment, we give them information. They can decide if they want to take up, if they want to do the suggested repairs, or go ahead and move forward with placing a new HVAC high energy unit on their a higher efficient energy use unit on their home. So we try to just be personable with our member owners and get to know them and see what we can do to better help their lives in our communities. All right, next slide, please. Right. So we have a concern for community. That's one of the cooperative's principles. We do at Roanoke, we do a lot of town halls and webinars, community events, have transparent communication, also partnership with the different stakeholders that's out in our community as well. Now, let's be real. Sometimes, breaking down policies or bylaws that the cooperatives have can feel like reading a textbook in another language. But that's why we take the time to break it down into bite-sized, easy to digest pieces of information through our town hall sessions, our webinars. We want to make sure our members aren't just hearing the information, but actually understanding it. And when people understand, they feel empowered. And we have a lot of community events that we put together. One of my colleagues, she puts together a lot of community events that invite different people from different organizations out to just to exhibit what they have going on and to provide information but that they may not receive. And we spotlight that in our communication efforts as well. So it's a lot that we do in order to inform our member owners and also just inform our overall communities about how to sustain clean energy solutions as well. All right, next slide, please. So as you can see, here's some of our key communication channels that we use. And as far as for transparency, to be very transparent, we have internal newsletters. We also have online newsletters that we do send out to our members. We have Carolina Country. There's a magazine. There's a monthly magazine that we send out to our member owners. We just try to be as transparent as possible. And our member owners will let us know about what's the best way to communicate with them. Because at the end of the day, people want to know, does the programs actually do anything? And absolutely, every decision that's made by the cooperative impacts something, whether it's our rates, or the investments that we're making in the community. And the best part, our members have a say in it all. And we need to show the difference in their engagements that makes to better serve our community. One thing that I would like to touch on is closing that digital gap in our area. We are deploying fiber in our area, and that is the technology that that is future proof, and that is in our rural communities that we're serving, and that is allowing our member owners, also citizens of the community as well, that it may not be a member owner, to use the internet and may not even have to, go to work. They can work from home if the company allows them. Our school-age kids does not have to travel far to a library or maybe sometimes in a store parking lot in order to use the Wi-Fi. They can use Wi-Fi inside their homes. And now in this age and in this time, everyone, we know that it's a necessity to have reliable internet services. So that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, being able to provide to our member owners. And we're close to covering our whole territory. We're about 85% complete on that. So that is great. Also, just saying, if you can see the slide as well, you can see that we're engaged with our school-age kids. We will provide a youth summit each year through our Sustainable Forestry and Land Retention Project that allow children to come in and take a part in different technologies that they may be using in the near future once they graduate high school, and just to provide them with information about different trade jobs that's available, and also four-year university. So just bragging about, at Roanoke, we're small, but we do a fantastic job with trying to engage with the community and letting everyone know about all the information that is available to them. We try to, we empower our member owners with much information that's needed. All right. Next slide, please. All right. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to spark the interest, educate the members on the importance of engagement. Let's foster a sense of ownership in cooperative decisions. Imagine if everyone felt a true sense of ownership in the cooperative. If they saw it as not just as a company that sends me a bill, but as their cooperative, something they have a stake in. And that's our goal. We want them to know that they are a member owner and not a customer. We want to spark their interest, educate, and build a shared purpose so that when decisions are being made, our member owners are saying, yes, I want to be a part of that as well. Okay. All right. Next slide. Okay. Engagement through community and connection. All right. And we're going to talk about how will this work and what can we do? We're going to bring some people to the table. As you can see, that is the picture you see is our Roanoke Round Table Advisory Committee group. And so what we did is that we got a group of individuals that we sat down at the table and we said, hey, what can we do as a cooperative? What can we do better? And it was real conversation and real talk. And that's what we needed, because it allows us to continuously improve. And we don't want that energy to fade away. And that's where the engagement comes in. We create spaces for our member owners, whether it's at the town halls, the community meetings, or as you see this picture here, at our member advisory groups, where people can connect, share those ideas, work together, collaborate to make things happen. And it's about turning inspiration into action. Next slide, please. All right. All right. So when people feel they belong, they show up, they participate, they take action, whether it's voting in the board elections, advocating for different energy policy, or simply just spreading the words to the family and friends. And every action matter. We're not just building awareness, we're building a movement. All right. So what's next? This can't just be a one-time conversation. We need to keep this momentum going. So we like to put up a challenge to our member owners to take the next step, whether it's attending an event, signing up for updates through our enterprise system that we use, or just bringing more than one person with them to these conversations, bringing their neighbors, because together we can build a stronger and more engaged cooperative community. And we can do this as long as we work together and collaborate together. And I feel that a lot of times that we may miss some things and not know exactly what is needed due to the lack of communication. And communication is key in every relationship. So we try to be as transparent as possible, bring our member owners to the table from different districts that we serve, and just allow them to speak and hear them and put that all into action. So that allows us to be better and to better serve our member owners. All right, next slide. All right, and that is it for me. I think Dr. Catherine Robinson will be picking up where I left off of.
Thank you. So definitely wanted to talk, go back, Miss, if you can. So definitely wanted to talk about engaging electric cooperative member owners. And of course, it requires an ongoing effort. And I think for Mr. Williams and myself and Miss Deborah, one of the things that we really wanted to educate everyone on is that the issues that we have been having while we're trying to engage member owners on the proper way of sustaining that momentum, but also making sure that we're holding everyone accountable and fostering those relationships. So some of the issues I've had, I'm not sure, Mr. Williams, if you had, where within one of our electric cooperatives, we did a campaign where we had 4 candidates that was petitioning for the board. And within that issue, this is the first time that an electric cooperative here in Mississippi went to their member owners and sent out information stating, do not give out any of your personal information, knowing that in order to petition for the board, you had to give 50 signatures. You had to give your information regarding your light bill, your electric bill. You had to give your account number. And so I don't want you to think there are going to be always different things that's going to discourage you from keeping an ongoing effort, but making sure that we're keeping transparency and consistency. So I'm going to talk a little more about fostering trust and keeping that momentum. And so the key to maintaining engagement, like Mr. Williams said, is of course fostering trust, ensuring representation, and continuously advocating for those needs of the community. And of course, here I have hosting town halls and community meetings. These gatherings, of course, will provide you a platform for member owners to voice their concerns. And you want to make sure that in this space, it's open dialogue, everyone's perspective is being heard, but you're keeping the mission at the forefront. And what lies for the community ahead if we're continuing to stay engaged. 2, conducting surveys and gathering feedback. Regularly assessing members' satisfactions and concerns throughout these surveys not only keeps you abroad to the issues that are happening, but it also gives you that data to make sure that you're addressing all the concerns that happen throughout the year when it comes to the member owners. 3, encouraging year-round participation. Engagement should be limited to board elections or rate changes, consistent communication, keeping members invested in their cooperative. That means drafting an engagement plan. What is something that you want to do to make sure that you are filling the room up with attendees that are member owners and that you are addressing their concerns? Newsletters, social media updates, and direct outreach can help maintain those ongoing conversations as well. Building a culture of ownership. reinforcing the ideas that electric cooperatives are owned by the member owners and fostering a sense of accountability. That way we conduct a peer-to-peer training. And this peer-to-peer training is making sure that we're educating member owners not only on the history of their electric cooperatives, but also understanding the ins and the outs of the electric cooperatives, making sure that they understand the foundation of how electric cooperatives were built and how they can make sure that they're going out into the community and articulating that information back to their peers or their families. Initiating like mentor programs and advocacy groups and local partnerships, encouraging long-term participation. So for us here at One Voice, we have an Electric Cooperative Leadership Institute. And this institute was founded out of helping member owners become better knowledgeable about how their electric cooperative association is ran, but also teaching them how to do grassroots organizing, how to build conversation, how to know if you're having how to know if you're getting support, and how to know if that person will be against you. Next slide. So here I have measuring the impact, and when we're measuring the impact, we wanted to talk about tracking the attendance of town halls, community meetings, and leader programs that can help us gauge the level of interest and involvement when it comes to the electric cooperatives. Now, to ensure that the engagement efforts are effective and meaningful, it always has to be critical to track and evaluate it, whether it's qualitative or quantitative measures. So one thing that we measure when you have meetings, the number of attendees at each event compared to past meetings, the percentage of registered cooperative meetings who attended the meetings, and the growth in attendance over time. A participation breakdown by demographics, whether it's age, income level, or location. And this all matters because higher participation indicates an increased member investment in cooperatives, and a drop in attendance may signal disengagement or dissatisfaction. When it comes to your surveys, you always want to track the surveys based on the numbers compared to the total membership. Changes in satisfaction scores over time, recurring concerns or issues that members highlight, percentage of suggestions that lead to actual policies or service changes. And of course, this all matters because a high response rate within your survey suggests that the members feel their opinion actually matters, and making sure that you're staying consistent. So consistently low satisfaction scores can indicate areas need improvement. When you're talking about member owners playing a critical role in electing board members and influencing cooperatives, we want to make sure voter turnout in board elections compared to the previous years. Number of members participating in advocacy efforts, whether it's petitions or attending a policy discussion, and increasing the number of members that are actually involved in the cooperative. And of course, this helps with engagement and showing strong advocacy and taking ownership. And Mr. Williams talked a lot about social media. Social media has become like the new wave for the youth and a lot of elderly as well. So the digital platform will provide a space for members to interact with their cooperative and share their concerns and stay informed. So making sure that the number of followers and engagement rates, likes, shares, and comments, that your growth online, you having community discussions around the cooperative issues, frequency, nature of member inquiries throughout social media. And by increasing that engagement online, it reflects a shift in how members prefer to receive shared information, whether it's digital or whether it's face-to-face comeback. And the pictures you see here is us actually building that coalition where we're letting the members have that peer-to-peer conversation. They're hosting their own meetings where they're fostering these relationships and allowing them just to have transparency and to have an effective communication process within the area. Next slide. So engagement through strategic horizon. One of the things that we teach here to our member owners is that we want to engage through our strategic horizon, which really means engaging through your self-interest. When all of us got into this work, it was because maybe something happened in our lives that made us vulnerable to say, I want to make sure no one goes without lights. I want to make sure no one ever suffers in life without having lights or without water, but something that really gives you a purpose of doing this work. So when we do engagement through strategic horizon, we teach your purpose, the power that's needed, as well as how to succeed within that strategic horizon. So here you'll see I wrote down 4 things that says identify strengths and areas for improvement, adjust your approach based on real-time feedback and data trends, ensure that member owners feel heard, valued, and involved in decision-making, strengthening cooperative governance by encouraging active participation. And so under those, it goes in line with your strategic horizon. And your strategic horizon may be your public purpose is to develop a equitable, community-driven electric cooperative that ensures access to clean and affordable and sustainable energy for all, particularly towards the history and undeserved communities that has been suffering over the years because electric cooperatives have become more monopolized. So then we also teach what power is needed to gain a more democratic, exclusive, clean energy electric power association that will provide policies within those areas. And what we teach is while existing energy and utility structures serve a broad public, they often lack these inclusion, leadership, equitable decision making, and community ownership. So the power that you would need is you have to have stakeholders, as Mr. Williams said. And we do a lot of power mapping. That power mapping would consist of who is your supporters, who are your high supporters that can actually help turn over a vote for you, and who are not your supporters, making sure that we are identifying our stakeholders. Also, making sure we have meaningful progress. If I need 4 progressive and community-focused leaders on the board or within decision-making roles, meaning I need to be canvassing the area to see who in the area is the next generation of leaders and that they're ready to take their community by storm. And also talking to our policymakers, our legislators, needing to expand that influence by engaging with these policymakers and stakeholders on the bills that they are passing that can actually shift some of the demand that's going on in the Electric Power Association. And then the goal to shift the power structure so that community voices drive the direction of the cooperative rather than external special interests. And then the last, as you see, the strategic horizon, is that if I say we initiate this strategy today for April 2025 with the goal of transforming the governance and operation of electric cooperative into a transparent, exclusive, and community first model, we would want to do that within the next 2 years, which by next April of 2027, we would have a board that is diverse with leadership, ensuring cooperative members have a voice through open meetings, financial transparency, developing policies that prioritize renewable energy, energy equity, and consumer protection, and that we have strengthened partnerships within our local organizations and our policymakers and community leaders that have made us to build a more resilient and sustainable cooperative where we have an investment-owned electric cooperative that are building policies for the community that is actually beneficial. So like Mr. Williams said, one of the best things to do is make sure that communication, education, and fostering the trust within those member owners is the best thing to make sure that you're keeping up with your engagement and also that you're measuring that engagement when it comes to the member owners. And I think that's it for me. And I'll pass it over to you, Ms. Deborah.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Mr. Williams and Dr. Robinson, you guys have done an amazing job, and I can echo a lot of the things that you said. I want to move on and talk about pathways to action. We know that inspiration alone is not enough. the work that we do requires member owners to be they are an integral part of the work that we do. Each EMC is like a private club. If it's not on their website and you're not a member, you can't get the information. So we actually need member owners to be a part of the work that we do. Georgia Conservation Voters has decided that we've only been in this work for 2 years, but we have decided to be intentional about being in community and building trust. One of the things that we do is we make a concerted effort to educate members, not only on EMC elections and how to their vote impacts leadership decisions, but we're finding that the majority of member owners think they're customers. They don't understand that membership has its privileges and its responsibilities. So we spend a lot of our time educating communities about what it means to be a member. Number two, we identify and support member owners who are willing to run for their electric membership cooperative board. That is another story that we're going to get into in just a moment. And number three, we have provided a scorecard that evaluates EMC's level of transparency, accountability, and sustainability efforts. So education, education, education. If as an organization that thrives on education, if we want to move from transaction, right, to sustained movement, right, we've got to move away from performance and move into transforming communities. How do we do that? We show up. We show up. We travel the state. We educate communities, stakeholders. We hold community events. But one of the things that we're doing differently in 2025 is we have decided to not show up in community and ask people to show up for our events, but that we're going into their communities and we're supporting what they're already doing. We're supporting the boots on the ground. How can we serve you? How can we help you? That gives us an opportunity to build trust, and it also helps us to engage with people who show up at these festivals, these seminars, these workshops, these community events. Now, once we're able to use our networks and talk to people and get people to agree to run for their EMC board, in my success story, I feel like finding a good candidate is like, or a person who is a member owner who looks like they could be a leader. It's almost like playing tag, right? You've got to be a strategic thinker who is as agile as Simone Biles and as fast as Sha'Carri Richardson to recognize and tag a change maker. The change maker in my story is Harvey Jarrell. I met Harvey, who was a retired Michigan State trooper, at a community event where we sat at the same table. And this is where I worked my magic, networking. A genuine connection was formed. And seriously, by actively listening, I learned that Harvey was heavily involved in his community and that he really wasn't ready to retire. He and I have a strong working relationship. He ran for his electric board of directors seat. He didn't win. but he plans to run again. And he now is building a powerful network and educating community about key issues that affect them. These pictures here are us knocking doors in Camilla, Georgia. Their election is April 18th. And as we're knocking doors, we're realizing that these member owners didn't even know that they had a voice, that they could vote and decide who sat on their board. And the other thing that is interesting in that is that if you read this caption, it says that EMC warns members about unauthorized phone calls. This is us phone banking, calling members, encouraging them to vote. Mitchell EMC also put up on their Facebook page, as you can read, we have recently been made aware that some of our members have received phone calls asking them to attend our annual meeting in order to vote. I don't see anything wrong at this point. Please be advised that Mitchell EMC is not making these calls. Any official correspondence regarding the annual meeting will be mailed directly to your residence. Now, then they say, we encourage you to join us at our drive-through annual meeting, and we look forward to seeing you. Not once did they mention the purpose of the annual meeting is to vote. That's why we're ruffling feathers. So the process is normally people would go to the corporate office in their vehicles. They will receive a packet we call trinkets and trash. They get a brochure that talks about the EMC. They get a copy of last year's annual report, maybe a water bottle, a keychain, maybe a wristband, and they're sent on about their way. There's no information about voting. We have no idea who votes, how many people voted the year before, and people walk away thinking they just got a gift bag from their EMC. So those are some of the challenges that we have. One of the things that we've done is we have put together, just like Dr. Robinson spoke of and Mr. Williams spoke of, we have created a community of member owners that are normally underrepresented on the board of directors called People in Power for Clean Energy in Georgia. And we created a scorecard, and the scorecard is divided up into 3 categories: overall democratic governance, overall finances, and overall services, which are customer benefits and services. With our committee, the People in Power for Clean Energy in Georgia, we have a focus, a 3-dimensional focus that we call the 3 E's. Number 1 is to engage, which is an ongoing process recruiting member owners to become a part of the committee. To equip, to make sure that they have the tools, the resources, to have those competent, right, and confident conversation with key members of their EMC. And then empower, which Dr. Catherine talked about. So when we talk about empowering our group, we want them to feel comfortable educating their communities about what it means to be a member owner and getting active and getting involved. So what we have put together, and we just launched it, is called a how-to series. What you see here is an invitation to power mapping. But our first how-to series was about how to understand and use the scorecard. we know that there are a lot of things in life that is scored. Like none of us in this call would eat at a restaurant who had less than, I would probably say, a 90, a score of 90 when it comes to the health score, right? Nobody wants to eat in a nasty restaurant. It's the same thing with your EMC. Most people don't understand that in the state of Georgia, the majority of our EMCs scored a D or an F. We only have 3 EMCs out of 41 that scored a C. Nobody scored a B, and absolutely nobody scored an A. So when we get people to participate in our People Empowered for Clean Energy in Georgia, our first goal is to invite them to participate in this how-to series, how to understand and use the scorecard. They actually look at the scorecard, they find their individual EMC, and they identify issues that are important to them, whether it's to opt out or capital credits or transparency under democratic governance. So once they're equipped, the goal is that we actually empower them to educate their community, have those hard conversations, and to begin to run these meetings on their own. And we step back and be a support to the work that they want to do. Perfect. That is the end of my presentation. I will turn it back over to Tom. And as you see on the screen, this is Basil's QR code and their information. And thank you all for the opportunity to present.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think we can. Do you want to end the screen share? Perfect. So, do you want to encourage folks to add questions to the chat? I've got a few already ready to go. But if there was anything you want to ask all or individual presenters, please do add those questions in the chat now. So, a question that I have is, I know there was a study that was done a few years ago that found that roughly 55% of member owners don't know that they are member owners or what those governance rights are or anything else like that. And I'm kind of interested to hear from the three of you, kind of different perspectives, but have you found that 55% rings true with the member owners of the co-ops that, either your co-op, Roanoke, Basil, or the co-ops that you're working with, Dr. Robinson and Deborah, Opie? Have you found that's an issue that you're going up? Do you think that 55% is right for your co-ops or even potentially larger? And what are some tangible stories about kind of how you have addressed that?
I'll definitely say that 55% is accurate. A lot of member owners are not aware that they are a member owner. They believe that they are customers. And that's because, of course, like we said, the electric cooperatives, power associations have become more monopolized. We have board of directors who have been sitting on these boards for years, and they're serving on it as if it's a Supreme Court. And so a lot of information are not being passed down to member owners, providing them the education on that they're a member. A lot of them are having to seek through themselves by just going in and asking questions. Hey, can I have my bylaws? Or, what information can you provide to me as a member owner? So one of the things that we have done is that we, of course, have point people that are in each area that we have used, and I can say they are our organizers on the grounds that we are working with, where we can build that connection. One of the things that we have done is canvas. And we canvassed around, with a survey. And the first question is, are you a member owner? And I'm not sure. Well, this is your property line. You are a member owner. And that's when they started to address the questions. Hey, I have a high electric bill. There's no programs that can help me with financial assistance, with weatherization, things in that nature. And so one of the things, like I said, you have to do is really, really, really build that education into becoming a foundation where they understand, like, this is a democracy, and democracy does not work unless we are working together with it. And in order for you to get this change in your electric cooperative, you have to vote. And so another thing that we do is, when it comes down to those annual meetings, is that we, like Ms. Deborah said, I think she heard my story and then I heard hers, and I was like, hey, that's similar. Where she said unauthorized phone calls. Well, we had unauthorized visits and unauthorized providing your information. And I think at the same time, the census was being conducted. And they said, don't give anybody your information. So what I definitely say is education, transparency. If none of the information is true, we try to make sure everything is factual. Everything is factual. Make sure that you are providing honest, factual information. If you do not know, hey, I will have to get back with you. But one of the things we definitely do is make sure that we're canvassing, phone banking, and we're building coalitions within those areas where we can come together, whether it's 10 to 15 strong members in that area, where they can have that conversation about, hey, this is what's going on in my neighborhood, such as block captains, where they can identify all the issues that they are having. And when I say it's around the board, I'm going to say it's everywhere. It's not just here in Mississippi. We're having that issue everywhere.
I would just quickly like to add that I agree with Catherine. In the state of Georgia, it may be more than 55% of the members don't realize that they're members. And one of the reasons would be that Georgia Power is really big here, right? And so everybody just assumes that they're a customer. You get your power bill every month and you just pay it. But when you begin to talk to people about what it means to be a member owner, that you actually own, part owner of a multi-million-dollar corporation, you kind of get people's attention. What does that mean? That you have a voice in how your cooperative is run. And so the work is hard. That's why I put a shovel on the PowerPoint, because until you try to hit as many points and try to reach as many goals at one time, but when people don't understand that they have a right to vote, have a right to know what's going on in their cooperative, a right to demand certain services, it's kind of hard to break in. We can't really rock the boat without the people. I'll put it that way. And so what we're trying to do is get the people stirred up, use that curiosity, that anger, and move the needle.
And just piggybacking off what Dr. Robinson and Ms. Deborah has stated, education is the key, Tom. We go out, we engage with the members. The surveys that Dr. Robinson spoke of as well. Just an example, we will get back quarterly surveys, and we had the question, do you know if you are a member owner, or do you feel like you are a member owner or a customer? And we'll have some of the member owners provide verbatims about they don't know, they did not know that they were a member owner. So that's a call to action for one of our MSRs to reach out to that member and educate them on why they need to know the benefits of being a part of the cooperative and why they are a member owner. So we do a lot with educating and also engaging our member owners and let them know that, yes, these are the benefits that you have for being a part of the cooperative. This is what we're doing out in our communities. These are the programs that are available to you. Please participate. And if you don't know about them, please ask questions. Our MSRs are ready to engage. We have different resources available to them to help them better engage with our member owners as well. Through talking about topics through their bill and just about high impact services that we have available to them as well.
Yeah. And have you tracked that over time? If you feel like that percentage of member owners that know they are member owners has going up?
Yes, we through different quarters, Tom, we have seen that an increase in member owners knowing that they are member owners. In some quarters, we have seen a decrease in it just depends on who's being surveyed and who participates in that survey. But that number does stay about the same, 55, 40, 45, in the percentile of who feel they're a member owner and who feel they are customers with.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, we've got a question from Angela Dunstan asking kind of how are you working in your service areas to ensure that inclusiveness and representation of all segments of your communities are engaged in the work of the co-ops?
That's a good question. Go back to community-led decision making, making sure that you're establishing advisory or committee groups that represents all background, ensuring that the decision making reflects the voices of all the community members. So you want to have somebody from each area. If you have a community meeting and you have over 20,000 members, when you're reaching for that community meeting, you want, of course, your goal is you want to get at least 25% of their membership, even though you might not get that, but you want to reach forward. And just targeted outreach and engagement using multiple communication methods, social media, in-person meeting, multi-linear materials, unrepresentative groups, making sure that you are partnering with your stakeholders because they might touch someone that you have not touched. And having that access to information and participation opportunities, whether it's you're having a community meeting, whether you're having a community event, but getting them engaged and making sure when you're having these meetings, it's accessible as well for participation. If the meeting, you have a lot of single mothers, and so you want to offer a meeting where you have different locations, different times, childcare, ensure accessibility for people with disabilities. You want to touch every basis to make sure that everybody is being represented well. You don't want anybody to feel that they are not being, getting, I'm not just going to say attention. You don't want anybody to feel like they're being left out. So you're going to try to touch your bases. And so one of the things, like I said, I do all of this, but one of the things I definitely do is that if I have one area that is called Fort County Electric Power Association, there are 6 counties within that alone electric power association. So I'm going to have a meeting within all those counties because I can't have it in one county and expect them to drive over from the other county because they might be 15 minutes, some might be 45 minutes. So I need to make sure that I'm representing everybody and having these meetings in every county.
I would like to add that we have been fortunate that I have relationships with radio stations. I will be traveling to Macon on the 9th and the 16th of this month. And then we also have connections in Southwest Georgia that reaches the entire Southwest region. And so having those connections and being able to educate via local radio stations that people listen to, and having a place where people can connect and follow up, give people an action, come to this event, visit us on the website or whatever, just not just inspiring people, right, but giving them something that they can connect to.
Yes, and having someone to engage the community and provide them with information such as Miss Angela Dunstan from Roanoke Cooperative. She will go out and, make those correct, build on those relationships, talk to everyone, make Roanoke or make your cooperative visible in the communities that you do serve. This keep us in the know, and folks know that Roanoke is a strong community partner in the area. So engagement with our legislators too as well. That helps with putting information out there to different districts as well. So what we want to do is we just want to continue to engage, educate, and empower the member owner.
All right. Well, we just have time for about maybe one more question. I don't know if anybody's got something burning in the chat. Want to get a question in, please do. I also want to let everybody know we did post a request for feedback. There's a survey Aaron just posted a minute ago, and maybe he'll post it again. I also want to say that our next session next week at this exact same time, we'll be going deep into electric cooperative elections. And so we encourage folks to come back, definitely a related topic. There's a link for that in the chat as well. And I think just a final question. And again, we only have 2 minutes, and we'll maybe stick around a little longer if folks are able to do that. I guess one of the things that I'm wondering about is as a bridge to our next session, when we're going to be again talking about going deeper into elections. Are there things that you feel like either your co-op has done, Basil, in your case, or could do, or other co-ops that you're working with Dr. Robinson and Miss Deborah, that can happen to change bylaws or other practices to support greater community involvement?
I can go first.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think you are all burning to jump on that one.
The one thing that I can say that we really need in the state of Georgia is a way for member owners to be able to reach out to their board member. We found that a lot of them, there's no transparency, there is no phone number, no email, no bio. When we started our scorecard, but as of this year, there have been at least 2 or 3 EMCs that have put up contact information for their board members.
I can definitely say the same. Having access to the board of directors is a crucial and critical point when it comes to the electric power associations. Definitely making sure that they also have access to the bylaws. A lot of member owners here, we have 25 electric power associations, and so they've started to take the bylaws off of the websites. Because they know more people are becoming aware and active, and they're able to pull them. So if there's something on the website, they might put a snippet, and then at the end it'll say, go into your electric power association to receive the full document for your bylaws. Also just making sure that it's a democratic process and that you actually understand the bylaws. So here we call the bylaws the Bible. And understanding how they count the votes, how they count the petitions. And there's also a secret. I don't know if Mr. Williams, if y'all have this, I'm pretty sure you do. Here, one of the issues that we've been facing is that there's a cutoff date when you have to turn in your petition. And sometimes that date is not being presented to the candidates and the people that are petitioning for the board. So that cutoff date can be chosen randomly at any time. And what they'll say is, hey, your bill was not paid up on that day, so you do not qualify. And it makes you wonder, like, okay, well, what was the date? Nobody said anything. And then they have monthly meetings that I feel like could also bridge that gap to help member owners get better access and a better understanding of what is happening in the cooperative if they knew when the meetings were. And then just lastly, and I'll give it to Mr. Williams, one of the issues we're having, you can't be late. So they're having the meetings during a time that majority of the member owners are at work. At 2:00 p.m., I'm at work. And if I'm not at work, kids get out at 2:15. So I'm probably in the car line trying to get my child. So that is the other issue. And so by the time you arrive, because you want to be in attendance and find out what's going on at the annual meeting, they've locked the doors.
Mm-hmm.
So bridging that gap for several things, and I think we can definitely go on.
I'm here to say that our bridge is wide open. Hey, our folks are coming. We provide transparent, clear communication about when our annual meeting is taking place. And before the pandemic, everyone, it was a celebration. I mean, we were celebrating our member owners. They was coming and enjoying themselves. We were providing them with door prizes, and we still do virtual door prizes as well. But I say that to say this, that our board of directors are great. They're visible in their communities that they serve. That they have open communication. Member owners visit them, call them, and our board of directors are called us. And guess what? We're going to get it. We're going to do what we have to do to make sure that we increase satisfaction amongst our member owners, and we pride ourselves on that at Roanoke. So we do provide transparent information about when annual meeting is taking place. It's done on a Saturday morning, so everyone, if you're not working on Saturday, then you should, you can participate. Provide registration information, because we want everyone to know they are part of the democratic process here at Roanoke Cooperative.
And we use you guys as a model because I love it.
Yeah,
So
you guys are an what is it? Anomaly?
Well, yeah.
Yes, anomaly.
In our electric cooperative class, I always bring up.
We have a great employee base too here at Roanoke Cooperative too as well, and we work together for the greater good for Roanoke. Yes.
All right. Well, it's nice to be able to end on a positive note. Again, letting everybody know we'll be back here again next week. We're going to go deeper into elections, deeper into some of these challenges that communities are facing with engaging with their co-ops and running candidates, and also some of the solutions as well. Want to once again thank all three of our presenters. Thank you, Basil Williams, for coming and joining us and representing Roanoke Cooperative. Miss Deborah coming and joining us from Georgia Conservation Voters Education Fund, and Dr. Robinson from One Voice in Mississippi. It was nice to have a lot of Southern states represented on the session. And again, we encourage everybody to come back and join us again next week and for the couple of sessions that'll be after that. One thing we haven't talked about very much is that we are going to be wrapping all of the content, the information that is being shared in these presentations into a accessible kind of self-guided course, chopping all the different sessions into smaller bite-sized chunks that can be shared with other people, with co-op member owners and also other organizers that you're working with, as well as putting together a kind of print version of the toolkit, which incorporates, again, the resources that have been shared by our presenters, and also more resources on each one of those topics. So we encourage you to come back, keep joining us in these sessions, and then look for that toolkit that's going to be coming out later in the summer. And until then, there's all the video recordings of each session available as well. You can find all that information at ruralpower.us. And with that, I think we'll call it an afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great job, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.